How you doing, Paul?
I'm good. It was nice to just be like, hey, I got to leave early today. I got something to do. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
The old 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I would try that excuse on myself. You know, I got to go 4 p.m. today, guys, to myself in the mirror. But I just immediately get back to work as soon as this concludes.
Oh, shit.
You'll see that we end up sometimes just letting it go a little bit longer than it probably should after the podcast, you know, just kind of smoking weed, figuratively.
Just vibing.
But, you know, that's me just feeling like the workday is over.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like happy hour at the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
Because It's Thursday, right?
I'm smoking my cigarette in the parking lot waiting for you to get out so we can get some Applebee's, baby.
Mm-hmm. End of the day on Thursday has this magical feeling, right?
Yeah.
I'm like continually, repeatedly impressed by how I trick myself every week during this podcast to feeling the way I felt when I was, you know, a socializing 20-year-old on a Thursday, hanging out after work with friends. Because then immediately, as soon as we all hang up the call, you know, I see Adobe Premiere over there, and I'm just like, all right, I guess I gotta do this. I gotta keep looking at this thing.
I'll do this for a little bit.
It's like, yeah, we'll just maybe give it another 20 minutes, and then it's like
4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours later, and it's like I'm eating dinner at 10 p.m. or whatever, and it's like, man. So anyway, that's I think a perfect encapsulation of the atmosphere we hope to impress upon this show, which is just,
I love it.
You know, kind of a video game chill time.
Yeah, happy hour.
Don't cause trouble. I'll tell Dompe. This is episode 246 of Insert Credit, a relentless gauntlet of video game topics where our panel of experts must address each question presented to them in no less than 6 minutes each, or I will have no choice but to sound a horrible buzzer. I'm Alex Jaffe, and my favorite subway line is the good old reliable number 4 up and down the east side of Manhattan.
Oh. I'm Tim Rogers. My favorite subway line, I've got to go with the original, that sweet mango shade of color on its particular graphic design implements. The old Ginza line, Tokyo, Japan. Beautiful subway.
I'll allow it.
How it emerges from the tunnels. You enter it in Asakusa. It's less than 1 story underground. It's just always beautiful, air-conditioned, wonderful lighting, wonderful seat colors, good color palette, good graphic design. When it emerges from the subterranean of Omotesando onto the elevated tracks leading into Shibuya Station, and you just witness the whole world.
Wow.
That's a beautiful subway. That final moment, the grand finale of the Ginza line is, boom, it just emerges from underground, and suddenly you're looking down at the busiest metropolitan district on Earth. Pretty neat.
Beautiful.
I'm Brandon Sheffield. I have to say I'm going to probably go in a similar direction. I'm just going to go with the Chuo line because it gets me to Nakano Broadway, gets you to Koenji, gets you west.
Oh, interesting.
A lot of options.
You have a West Coaster's idea of what a subway is. Just saying.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know it's not entirely... It does go under a bit, doesn't it?
Like, I don't want to get into why I know all the exact math on this, but it's underground for about 12% of its run.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that's...
So,
I trust that number.
I mean, I realized going into it that it's more of a train than a subway.
People will use them interchangeably. You call them corner stores. We call them bodegas. We call it the subway. You call it we call it a train. You call it the subway. I don't know.
Even if it's not a subway, it's a good train line, I'll say that.
Beautiful train. Beautiful train. Went through all my favorite neighborhoods. I lived on that line.
Goes through all the good neighborhoods and also has several options for the speed.
I like the Marunouchi line as a subway. If you're
it's fun to
if you're
say.
Dead set on the Chuo line and you had to, if the cops showed up in here and required you to pick an underground train, you could say Marunouchi because it shares a good length of its run. It has a.
I got a Passmo rather than a Suica, so you know I'm cool with the subway.
Oh yeah, so you know you're a subway buddy. I want one of those Rodney Greenblatt Passmos.
Oh, I still have I have like a few Pasmos from my trips that I lovingly hold on to. Oh,
I don't think our audience knows who that voice is.
Yeah.
So we've got to introduce
Nobody
them.
knows who you are.
Oh no!
Who is that?
Joining us this week as our replacement Frank is video and podcast producer for the likes of Kotaku and Fanbyte, host of the Optional podcast, and New York fashion icon, Paul Tamayo.
Wow. Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me. I'm Paul Tamayo, and my favorite subway line has got to be the good old J train here in New York. It goes from Brooklyn across the Williamsburg Bridge into the city. It's wonderful. I always like trains that have a nice scenic view. Sometimes you need that on your way back from work to, it's a little healing. And also, if you are waiting for a transfer to like the Z or the M or something at Marcy, you're like above ground and the bridge is in view. It's just a good train. I love that train.
I really love the 7, the one that takes.
I like the J.
7's good, yeah.
You
J's
already
great,
had
yeah.
your turn.
Yeah, I guess
Jaffe.
I did. But you just reminded me. Anyway,
I honestly don't like any of the subways that I've ever lived on in New York, but maybe that's. I mean, there's something deeply wrong with. I used to live in Sunset Park, and I used to ride the D to work every day. Do not like the D.
Yeah.
Don't like that one. Don't like it.
Long trip.
But the Q's a good line.
Q's good.
Isn't that the one like objectively good train line?
Yeah, pretty much.
In New York. The rest of them you got to kind of you got to put on your connoisseur's hat to enjoy.
You'll notice that I did not mention a BART line as my favorite. So
you don't like no Pittsburgh Bay Point?
I can relate. I mean, if I had to choose one, that would be it. But actually, I like riding the train down to the airport because you like going through Daly City and looking at all the coffin style identical houses is kind of fun. You get to feel like you're going somewhere. But BART's okay. But it's
a lot better when they changed up the upholstery.
Yes,
BART's fine, but Homer really took over the show in the second season.
Oh, good joke.
Thanks. Here's my first topic, or rather, your first topic, Tim Rogers, in that you won last week's episode.
Oh, it's for me.
So this is your opportunity to give us a topic to kick off this
Can I
show.
elect to bank up my victories until I have 10 and then I get to host a whole show?
I like that idea a lot. Tim, you have one banked topic.
Wait, no, he's got 2 because I took his last time.
That is true.
Oh, that's true. Okay, Tim, you've got 2 banked topics. You are 1/5 of the way to your own episode.
All right, let's do
Here's
it.
your first question. Which real-world racing event has the most interesting game mechanics?
Like my brain is so diseased by the 90s that I was trying to make some sort of true story. Like when people stop
Being polite.
people stop being polite and start getting real. I really wanted to make a real world joke. It's just I'm not going to do it.
That's a strange impulse, Jerry.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. It's just a bit of a weird.
No, it makes me feel unfortunate. That's
I like that energy, though.
Sounds like a you problem.
it is.
Some would say that talking about not making a joke is worse than making the joke.
Yeah, I just wanted to share my misery with everybody so that everybody would have to feel that way.
Thank you.
Now you all get to enjoy it. So what was the question again?
Thank you.
Which real-life racing event has the most interesting game mechanics?
So we're talking about like
Oh, man.
skeet shooting or whatever on skis and stuff. I mean, I don't like that. We've talked about how that's goofy, but I sort of thought it was going to go the direction of like, is F1 more fun to make video games about than NASCAR? Yes.
But why?
No, that's not the question.
It kind of is.
I mean, NASCAR is pretty good, man.
NASCAR's great. I've actually just been getting into NASCAR, Tim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh heck yeah.
I've been fully diving into the world of motorsports, like just head first. I'm watching IndyCar, NASCAR.
F1 has a lot more going on. Different tracks.
But there's like a real cool, intricate like dance with NASCAR that happens at like 200 miles an hour. It's like wild.
The NASCAR is one of the sporting events that it's like cool even for people who like define their whole identity around liking sports. It's like cool for them to hate NASCAR,
Right.
like to joke about how it's all about just turning left for 2 hours or whatever. But there is so much going on in NASCAR. Like when you're talking game mechanics, when you're talking team tactics,
Oh yeah.
all the team tactics stuff is in NASCAR. It's horrible. How important qualifying is in races, like even versus F1, where it's like
Pretty
in
important.
F1 you're guaranteed to run a race, right?
That's
Like
true.
we're not guaranteed to
Yeah.
run it, but it's like you're gonna run the race. NASCAR is like who the heck knows 90% of the time. There's this really good YouTube video, Brandon, if you want to watch something about NASCAR that's about like the best like the history of revenge in NASCAR. It's a very good video. I'd recommend that video to anybody.
I don't want to make fun of an entire sport, of course, but the challenge for me with NASCAR is I just don't want to see Confederate flags. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's real.
And there's just it really sours me to the whole experience, the likelihood that I'm going to see Confederate flags.
Yeah, that's real.
It just makes me feel weird about the whole deal.
We've talked about, we should go watch like a race sometime, but that is something that's like on my mind of like, do I want to be near that kind of stuff? You know, like I'm chill watching it here, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know, but I'd also be potentially open to the experience.
I mean, if you are going to go to a NASCAR race, you might as well just go to the Daytona 500.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking about.
You might as well go to one in Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, just go to Florida if you're going to, if you've got to, right?
My partner's got family in Florida, so we could make that work.
Yeah, I've been thinking of going to the Daytona 500 the past couple of years, and then, there's been a coronavirus and whatever.
So in terms of interesting mechanics, like, I feel like a lot of those rally sports are certainly interesting because you've got all kinds of different terrain. You got someone who's telling you what the turns are, but
the co-driver, co-driver is wild. The walkthrough you do before the race, and you get the pace notes.
Yeah,
love pace notes. Pace notes is a heck of a concept. To have a guy just sitting there be like telling you in the tersest manner possible which gear to get into and how sharp what degree the turn is.
And he's looking at like symbols and arrows and shapes. It's like, it's so cool.
And just the massive terrain variance and like hills and banking corners, and you got to drift around this one, and like it's a whole different type of a race than one that's on a dedicated track. And the track gets worse over time, and depending on how far back you are, the worse the track is. And that's weird.
Yeah. I mean, I think those rally races are pretty legit. Also, trophy truck races are cool, where you've got just giant trucks just plowing through just millions of pounds of soft dirt. I think those are really legit weird, like the Baja 1,000-mile race, right?
Yeah, it's a shame. I feel like Formula E is like onto something when it comes to like their, the on-track stuff. Like they have these little zones where the cars can choose to go through them and get like a boost for like several minutes, like attack mode in an F1 car or something that they have to like recharge or whatever.
DRS.
Yeah.
Oh, well, can I just conclude that I think NASCAR is cool. They did that recent race, man. Did you see the LA Coliseum race that they did?
Yeah, it was so goofy.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And I mean, one of my favorite T-shirts to wear is my 1995 Habitampa Shootout, Woodstock, Georgia, the Dixie Speedway shirt.
Nice.
Speaking of Confederate flags, there's no Confederate flag on the shirt, okay? But I'm pretty sure there were some at the event. I might be mistaken.
I'd be surprised.
But it's a dirt track race where they did shootouts, where it's one-on-one races, right? It's like a dirt track NASCAR. The fact that NASCAR has all of those different game designs baked into it, the whole dirt track thing, like the dirt track one-on-one, you do a one-on-one short race of about 10 laps, and then you whoever wins that one moves into the next round, and you do it like a fighting game tournament.
Oh, man.
I think dirt track stock car is my favorite game design. Dirt track stock car shootout, I think, has it all. Final answer from me. I don't know about anybody else.
Thank you.
Probably rally or bicycle races where you have to choose when to pee. That's an interesting mechanic. When and how.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
I ran a marathon. I just peed my pants.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be what they do.
That's fair. I bet a lot of people do that.
Yeah, it's just what you do, man. Anybody at the Tour de France who thinks they got to get off the bike to go, that's a loser mentality. No offense.
Yeah, but you still have to choose when to do it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, sure.
I have heard there's a place in France where the bikers piss their pants. Here's our second question. What are the best implementations of alien technology in video games?
Alienware PCs.
That's where Chris Kraft works now.
They look like they came out of a goddamn spaceship. You see these things? I'm just kidding. They don't look nearly as crazy as this ridiculous computer of my own that I'm looking at right now that I built myself.
Yeah, alien technologies. It's a good question. I like when people do stuff that I'm not expecting, so it's not just HR Giger or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know, they're using plants or some weird Hilux 2, I remember the name this time, hand gesture nonsense and weird stuff, but I'm hard pressed to find the good example that I really like. Alien technologies. Yeah, I guess an early one for me.
Oh, I was going to say maybe not the Needler in Halo, I would say.
I was going to say the
Yeah.
Needler.
Yeah, dude. Well, maybe it is. I mean, maybe it is a cool implementation. It's not a great gun, but
No.
hilarious.
But yeah, it's just weird. Like the idea that it's just shooting little shards of glass kind of that, tracks you down and then
And
explodes.
that there's this alien culture that evolved to just believe that that's the kind of weapon you want to take into a fight against.
That's the gun you're going to take?
Yeah, that's like their whole civilization climaxed in the invention of weapons like that. It's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
I guess there's some world building to it. Those little guys carried around.
Mm-hmm.
A true grunt weapon technology there.
Certainly. Just pokes away at you. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I don't know. There's some like weird ships that you fuse into your body. I can't remember what. Man, I can think of things, but I'm confusing. I'm confusing movies and video games here. Is what's happening.
I'm trying to think of what I liked in Outer Wilds. There's got to be some examples in that game.
I like the UFOs that you just blast a million of in the Earth Defense Force games.
Yeah.
You're just firing a bazooka at some old-timey looking, schlock movie UFOs. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Can't beat a schlock movie UFO, right? That's just a decent piece of technology. How'd they invent those? Flying saucers? What alien planet is settling on a design like that? You can't tell, can't make a top-down video game about them, right?
True.
Can't make a top-down scrolling shooter out of a flying saucer. I challenge anybody to try to do that. I don't think you can.
I'm surprised you haven't brought up the gun from Another World.
Oh, that gun's cool because it does 3 different things. It fires a charged shot, and it also creates a barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad weapon.
I got one that I like, which is in Ramble Planet. You have the same consciousness all the time, but you can get different bodies. It's something that you can kind of like swap out, and it doesn't really do anything except it does change how people talk to you. I think that's kind of neat, and it's particularly a technology that's in the game where you just like swap bodies sometimes, or and especially if you die, then you start out as a different body, but you are still the same person. I like that.
That's cool.
Honestly, the only thing that came to mind was that Needler. It's just a weird little gun that makes no sense in my brain.
The Needler's good. I mean, all of the Covenant technologies are pretty good.
Yeah.
I like that they have a sword.
Yeah, not just from a world building standpoint, but there's world building to their technologies, but there's mechanical utility. They're vehicles, they're ghosts, and they're wraiths or whatever. You get the cool weird hover bike with the million. You fire a million laser blasts out of it. Like I feel like the Covenant's technology in general in Halo is. I mean, it's very very intelligently positioned in direct contrast to the humans. Master Chief's got his Call of Duty style, like the future realistic American military weapons.
Yeah, it's all steel and metal.
Yeah, everything looks like you would imagine a weapon would look in the 20 whatever century. And then the Covenant's got this alien stuff that functions very differently game mechanically. I mean, it's meaningful, and it is it's implemented as otheristic for like a meaningful reason in terms of the gameplay.
Did you watch that Paramount Plus show?
No, I need to though.
Oh, Tim, I need you to watch that.
I'm gonna watch it. Like, we have this great idea
It's
to
hilarious.
do a podcast that's just about video game related media.
Oh.
It's watching every video game movie, every video game TV show.
Do it.
So I have to watch the Halo show for that.
Tim, did you see that I realized that there were 2 One Chambara movies?
Oh yeah. I'd watch both of those.
I found that out by buying one of them and then looking it up and realizing it was the second one. I bought it because I was like, lol, look at this. And then I realized it was the second one. And then I realized I already knew that a long time ago and forgot. So
Were they both directed by Takashi Miike within the same 2-month period? That's a joke.
oh man, they'd be a lot better if they were. It's directed by...
I mean, would they be that much better though?
yeah.
I mean,
You want to do the first episode next week?
there's no guarantee. No, I can't.
No,
Maybe not
we
next
gotta-
week.
All right. Maybe we'll talk after episode 250.
No, and I also just
Oh.
wanted to say that this is episode 246 and
Yes.
one of the best racetracks in a video game. couldn't fit this in the first question, is Tokyo Highway Route 246 from Gran Turismo 4.
That's the right answer.
Speaking of driving, could you design a game about New York City that doesn't involve driving?
Shoot.
Sure, I could. I don't know nothing about New York City, so I could do it like 1980s NES Japan style, where they're like, all right, we got this Batman game. Let's give him a gun. Let's have him just murder all these clowns because there's clowns in it, probably. So yeah, I'd just make it stars as you're a big apple.
Yes.
You're rolling around. You're knocking down the buildings. You fight King Kong. You roll into his ball area, knocks him right down. I don't know. I could think about all kinds of things.
And you
without
pick up
cars.
trash on the street, and your ball gets bigger until you're
right.
Okay, yeah, we.
We're on to something.
Okay, here's one. Stray is popular right now.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Yeah.
Why don't we just have a rat?
Oh,
Skittering around on the subway.
Stray rat. Could call it Gray instead of
Yeah.
Stray.
nice.
Because that's generally like, okay, so this, like, no one actually, like, I was watching the news the other day, and apparently they don't know for sure if the rats in New York are actually gray.
No one's ever seen one.
They could be white rats that are just covered in dust. That's my joke. You know what? I guarantee you, if you take any New York subway rat home and you turn the kitchen sink on, get like a good medium heat, and you've got a good water pressure on your sprayer, and you give him about 5 minutes, he's going to be as cute as any cat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. And it's going to be just a precious they're just sweet little creatures. Now, they are feral, and they are full of just kind of jam-packed with vitamins, minerals, and diseases, and what from having consumed a lot of trash.
We actually share a New York City story now, Tim, where
Yeah.
a couple years ago,
Welcome.
or a year ago, I stepped on a rat on my way home from the pharmacy.
Oh no.
So
Welcome to the club of those who have trod upon rodents.
I can't wait to get my smoking jacket in the mail.
vermin treaders. That's our club.
The correct answer is you absolutely could design a game about New York City without driving, because if you actually live in New York, you know that driving is the worst way to get around.
Right.
Yeah, it's awful.
The right answer would be designing a game that either, if it's an open world game, like, I don't know, a Stray or even a Spider-Man, focus on the ways the communities sort of connect and the ways they sort of fade into each other, but also being able to explore all those different worlds within 10, 15 minutes from each other is like what makes New York so cool. So having a car would be the worst way to experience that, because then you're spending 2 hours looking for parking.
I'd make a pigeon game.
Oh,
Just dooting around with your little head bobble, and then you fly over and poop on a statue and poop on some cars.
You know what?
that's a good idea.
Having experienced a fair deal of New York at this point, I think the rats are way more interesting mechanics wise than the pigeons could possibly be. I've flown
Why is
around in
that?
enough video games. I've played Spider-Man, which is about where you can fly around New York. Basically, I don't see those webs attaching to anything. First of all,
Yeah, you want to be on the ground.
And with the rats, you could get into the subway system.
Yeah.
I can see why a rat might be more interesting than a pigeon in this case.
Maybe you could switch between the two. Sometimes you're flying, sometimes you're...
I like that.
Like Assassin's Creed, your pigeon just like constantly is around you, giving you the drone view of the vault that you're about to steal from inside of Upper East Side suite.
I think it's like GTA 5, that you can swap between the rat and the pigeon whenever you like. And we'll throw a third guy in. What's a third thing?
Cockroach is the only other thing they got.
Oh, yeah.
Too close to the rat.
Look, I'm just going to say, again, having spent a decent percentage of my life in both Tokyo and in New York, is New York's cockroaches ain't got god darn nothing on Tokyo's.
Oh, wow.
I would leave them out of the conversation. I didn't put in a stray dog. You can't do a stray cat anymore.
Sure.
Somebody already did it. And nobody in the video game industry repeats ideas.
There was that Stray Dog video game that got announced before the Stray Cat video game, and I don't know what happened to it. And
Oh, you mean Home Free by my good friend Kevin Cancian?
was it Home Free? Is that the one I'm thinking of? I'm going to take a look.
Is that, I mean, I don't know. Is that it? That's a stray dog video game about a stray dog lost in a city, procedurally generated city inspired by Tokyo.
Yeah, that's the one. I think it's the one. Did that come out?
No, it actually
that's what I
recently got canceled.
Well, you can still do a dog then.
His loss is the Grays game.
I think there's a lot of games you could make about New York that don't involve driving, and I think you could make a good one about driving a subway car. Would be a good game. I would play that.
Yeah. Or grinding from subway line to subway line.
Multi-track drift.
I mean, driving in New York in video games, a brief history. In Grand Theft Auto 4, it's pretty fun because it's not real New York. And in a true crime, Streets of New York, it's very miserable to drive in New York. Not exactly as miserable as it is in real life, though it's pretty miserable. And in The Godfather, the video game, pretty hilarious in The Godfather, the video game, because it's old-timey New York. So good deal going on in that game. So it's quite a vacant New York. You get to experience New York the way the billionaires do or whatever. I also think if you're going to make a game about New York, you could make one that involves is riding a bike the same as driving? I don't think so. I think you make a game about a bike messenger, crazy Uber Eats driver by Sega.
Oh my God.
Courier Crisis 2.
My electric bike was impounded after I turned a civilian into sawdust by riding on the sidewalk. And they told me I can't use my electric bike, so I got to use the old pedal monster. And you're using the triggers to pedal.
Or the electric scooters now. Those zip in and out of like traffic where I'm just like, wow, you guys are just gonna live forever, huh?
I mean, I empathize with I know their job is pretty bad and the pay is not that great. But number one, I tip 100%. And number two, man, one of those guys almost killed my dog.
Oh my God.
A couple weeks ago. And that's that definitely gremlinified me. Like just blasting down the sidewalk, easily 40 miles per hour on one of those electric bikes. And it just was not looking. And I didn't see the guy,
God.
Because do you expect to see a guy like that come 40 miles an hour under the eaves of your building as you are stepping out to walk your dog? No.
Yeah.
That puts me, that just transplants my brain exactly into nightmare territory, basically forever. But anyway, I think being a bike messenger, maybe set it in the 80s or the 90s.
Courier Crisis 2.
And then put some kind of plot in there, because you're not driving. You get to go down alleyways. You get to, get off the, I don't know.
That Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie.
Exactly.
Rush? What was it?
Premium Rush, I think.
Premium Rush.
Oh, that's a good rush. It's better than San Francisco Rush. Could you design a game about San Francisco that's not about driving? Because I never saw it. San Francisco Rush, Driver San Francisco. That's the end of my joke. I think there's other San Francisco games. Crazy Taxi San Francisco. Sonic Adventure 2 has a San Francisco inspired level, doesn't count.
Driving in it, though.
We're deep into this, so what would be the best city to drive around in a game?
In a video game?
Yeah.
Probably one of those Midwestern ones.
I mean, not really. I mean, they're not that fun. I used to rip around Indianapolis.
They're not that fun, but you could do it, is the main thing.
Indianapolis would be a heck of a place to own a nice car, because it's got like one highway that encircles the city, and it takes about an hour to drive around the whole thing, and it's just it's chill as heck.
I guess I might suggest Shanghai. You got a bunch of streets, a lot of them are pretty wide, but then you also got those ring roads that you can do all kinds of versus nonsense on against other people, and then there's a lot of alleyways if you want to do some some bike or moped or whatever kind of stuff zipping around. They got all the environments there all the city.
They built a huge amount of that city in like 2009 as well, so it's a whole bunch of these fancy, enormous, wild superhighways. Now I have a very fond experience of spending a summer in Shanghai and riding around it on one of those electric bikes that now are threatening the life of my dear pet.
Your child.
So it's like one of those like blazing fast electric bikes, and that was such a cool feeling. And I was like, is it the bike that is making this cool, or is it Shanghai? And later when I rode a bird scooter around the west side of Los Angeles, this bird, the scourge of Los Angeles, I realized it definitely was Shanghai. Shanghai is definitely way cooler to just get on an extremely lightweight vehicle and blast around in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got all that Blade Runner decor, like just lights underneath the freeway, or the subway not subway, train overpass.
They
or
were
whatever.
gamer RGB back in like 2009. Yeah,
Yeah, for
Hell
sure.
they were just basting that place in weird multicolored lighting.
You got that bottle opener building.
Philips Hue bulbs everywhere.
Big like megawatt government mandated.
Hell yeah, vibes.
Industrial grade of Philips Hue vibes, just coating the city, just turkey basting that entire city in
like
weird
a
light colors.
Boston market.
Oh, Paul, did you play Hitman 3?
Oh, I love Hitman 3.
That Shanghai level, dude.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. I just walked around. I was just vibing. I was like, do I have to do this? Can I just go get some noodles and just chill by the river? This is kind of nice. Just want to look at that train.
The Bund.
I spent like 3 hours calibrating my RTX settings to get maximum frames on that
nice.
level, and that was time extremely well spent.
Absolutely.
I'm going to benchmark all future PC builds, which, let's face it, I don't have too many of those left in my life. Just get a little grim for a second. I'm going to benchmark all future PC builds around that level until they make another one that I like more. It's just a good looking level to look at. But yeah, Shanghai is good. I just considered the idea of riding a scooter around New York, like going to the doctor on a scooter, going to the dentist on a scooter. My girlfriend will ride those city bikes, electric city bikes around, and she says it's fun. But how fun is it? Would it be as fun as Shanghai? I don't know. I'm just hooked on this electric scooter idea. It was so weird getting on that electric scooter in Shanghai back in 2009. My friend was like, "You can borrow one of these," because he had like 8 of them. You know, everybody knows a guy in Shanghai who has 8 electric scooters in 2009.
Sure.
And he's like, "You want to borrow one of these?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like a scooter? And he's like, "Yeah, it's electric. You just turn this and it goes. Just be careful for the first couple minutes." And I get on it, and it was the absolute real life equivalent of when you're playing like Spider-Man on PS4 and you start web swinging the first time. You're like, wahoo, you know? I'm making real life like Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins Mario noises, you know, like the real life version of them. And I was riding on that thing, and I was blazing down alleys, went through the Old Town, the French Quarter, rode over to the Bund. After it was so crazy. After 2 hours, I just felt like I knew everything about that city. I knew where everything was.
I love that.
Felt cool as heck.
That's the best part. So my answer is going to be Amsterdam because they actually have good public infrastructure and trams that work well, and people who drive cars only have cars because they want to drive cars, not because they have to drive cars. So the driving is kind of chill and mellow, and I like those drives. I like late night kind of 3 a.m. on the highway kind of drives when no one's around, not just to do daredevil shit, but to just just chill, just meditate for a little bit and do something fun with my hands and my feet.
If you're gonna do Amsterdam, though, I want to rip around the canals in a cigarette boat. Is what I want to do.
Hell yeah, there's fun for everyone over there.
Yeah,
not driving, but fun.
And I would suggest probably the most fun I've had driving an automobile in a city is Los Angeles, because I like that 10 freeway.
Oh man, the 10.
Looping and zooping around.
Yeah, there's some really nice driving in LA.
Uncle Larry's Wild Ride, as I like to call it.
There's a lot of fun stuff over there. If all the other cars are gone.
LA rules for driving at night.
Yeah, exactly.
For driving at night, if it's nighttime in Los Angeles, you can blaze, dude. And it is so chill. Riding around at 3 a.m.
It feels good to do. All the curves on the freeway are it just makes it's almost a game
Hot Wheels
designed
as heck,
to
dude.
make you feel like you're a really good driver who can do anything. Because you're just I sure am rounding this turn right now.
Yeah, look at that cornering.
You
get in some of those freeways where you're down in a slot between 2 other roads. I mean, you get all of the off ramps downtown.
Yeah, they just go off to the side for a while.
They go off to the side. They go up and around. You can you're walking around the Westin Bonaventure Hotel, and you're looking out at all these landstalkerish, dark savior weird polygonal level design geometries just attacking you from all directions. It's man, it rules. LA's got some wild roads,
For sure.
but it's also a parking lot, like
Yep.
80%, 90% of the day.
We're a video game in here, so we're not going to have that stuff going on.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to have blue skies, but also nighttime Los Angeles traffic levels, that's legit.
Yeah.
But you're going to get yelled at by a bunch of bearded YouTubers for breaking immersion. Because they're going to say it's not immersive.
Not the bearded YouTubers.
Those goddarn guys.
They're going to be like, as I found out when I moved into my creator house in Los Angeles 2 weeks ago, this is the way that this city runs forever.
Mm-hmm.
Let's all have a shave and take a quick break. We'll be right back on Insert Credit.
I'm going to go donate some water to my toilet. I'll be right back.
The city thanks you for your contribution. Welcome back, everybody, to the Insert Credit program. It's time for us to go to the dirt bag. Every single week, I select one of the many questions submitted to us through the form at patreon.com/insertcredit, where for just $1 a month, you can submit as many questions as your heart desires through that form, though I'll only pick one of them per week usually. And you'll also get some bonus episodes every month. Usually one bonus episode. Sometimes we prepare.
Sometimes more.
Sometimes more. You never know what kind of value awaits you
Could be anything.
at patreon.com/insertcredit until you subscribe. It's the only way to find out for sure. This week's question comes from Spencer, who asks, why did so many companies throw their hat in the console ring in the 5th generation?
First
now,
of all,
before you ask me what the 5th generation is.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That was the era of the 3DO,
Mhm.
the Atari Jaguar, the Sega Saturn, the FM Towns Marty, the Amiga CD32, the Apple Bandai Plippin, the
Pippin.
Palladium. Yeah.
The Plippin. We're going to call it the Plippin.
The Plippin, the Casio Loopy.
I like the Loopy.
I know the answer.
Yeah, go for it.
The video games were. First of all, I want to say something quick to Spencer. Spencer,
Thank you.
and I appreciate your gifts. I like your store.
I'm glad you're for hire. That's a TV
I
reference.
first learned several dirty words in your store. Thank you. Hopefully, we get a question from Suncoast next week.
Oh yeah, big fan.
Or Tower.
Suncoast. No, Tower. I'm not the big fan. I'm a bigger fan of Suncoast.
That sign that just invited you in.
That weird neon sign. Yeah.
You wanted to smell carpet fumes for like 20 minutes real quick.
There was never anything good at Suncoast.
That was good stuff. But anyway, consoles.
Consoles. So here's what my answer is to that question. So for a bunch of them, they were already making stuff, and that's just how it was. But I think the main thing is the advent of the compact disc gave everyone the idea that, okay, storage is increasing. Making CDs is like going to get cheaper.
Well, it was already pretty cheap for the big
boys, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the cost was pennies on the dollar versus making a ROM cartridge.
And computers were getting good enough that someone like 3DO could be like, we could do something modular that we could then license to everybody. And like, I think it was the CD, because that's the common factor between almost all the weird ones, the CDI, the Palladium, the PCFX, just all these things were like, the CD is here, and so we can try.
Yeah, it's all the CD. And the CD lowered costs, and also it allowed for profoundly more detailed games with better audio and full motion video. So it was easier to get to generalized entertainment industrial professionals kind of on board with investing or considering the idea of video games. Video games were already pretty hot. Games like Mortal Kombat had pried the door open.
I think that was part of it, is like the NES was popular, but then the Genesis and Super Nintendo were like cultural phenomenon level popular.
Yeah, SNES and Genesis were the big ones. So you just saw business was more interested. Production costs, manufacturing costs were lower. They were much more invested in the idea of researching and developing, making hardware. And what also happened was the Super Nintendo era to, I'm just calling it the Super Nintendo era, is it the 4th generation? From Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis to PlayStation, Saturn, there was like kind of a crowbarring open of not exactly a democratization, but something resembling like the indie game boom. Like the first version of it happened around then, where there were just so many more people being like, yeah, I'll try to make a video game. You got like Naughty Dog made Way of the Warrior for 3DO, right?
Yeah.
Like they made it in their garage, which is just completely bonkers.
Yeah, and every country was like, well, we kind of got a little bit of electronic stuff. Maybe we could try it. So you get your CD32 because the Amiga already existed, and then you get Philips, who is a Dutch electronics giant, who's like, yeah, well, maybe we'll make one. But with the CD, there were a lot of different ideas about what it could become, similar to like early days before DVD and whatever. People were figuring out what they could do with it. And so Philips was like, VCD didn't exist yet. So they were like, we'll do this. We'll put movies on CDs and it'll be a full entertainment center everywhere. And then it turned out people didn't want that as much and the game thing worked out a little better for them, even though it didn't work out that well either. There were just multiple vectors to try, and the whole multimedia thing was realized in the PS2 era with just like, let's put a DVD in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They were trying it that far back.
And they were trying it. They were trying pretty hard. It was a tasty proposition. There were many different angles and vectors. However, there was a right way to do it, and only one person did it the right way.
Ken Kutaragi?
Yeah, it was big old K-Man. He's got a 4 kanji last name.
Take the K-Man.
Yeah, that's pretty hardcore.
He's got a 4 kanji last name. That's the kind of guy you want in charge of actually bringing this thing forward. Yeah, I mean, Kutaragi did it right from every single angle.
Yep.
And it was not the money is lying there on the ground, are you man enough to pick it up scenario. It was not that. It was you needed a lot of the money, and only one guy was able to directly convince a lot of money to play nice. Whereas, you get the idea with Panasonic and whatever, that it was like a pet project.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, a $1 billion company's pet project is...
It was a bit more of a dabble than a serious push, I guess.
Yeah, whereas Kutaragi he was an engineer, he was a businessman, and most importantly, he was a weirdo, right? So he was able to get the company that he had sworn his life to just absolutely go whole hog and not treat it like a pet project, or at least, a precious pet.
Yeah, and where would we be without it? Like, it's interesting to think about a world in which the PlayStation didn't exist and you just had the Saturn and the N64, which are way further apart from each other.
I love the Saturn.
Saturn's great.
I love the Nintendo 64, but video games would be dead if it weren't for the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like, no joke. Mario 64, nice game. Zelda, oh, great game. Poindexter. It's more about... I'm a Poindexter, okay? I'm quite a Poindextrous individual. But I'm like, Zelda, the Citizen Kane of video games? Nah, Jack. That would have just been your something your aunt like grinned at and said, "Oh, what's you playing a video game there?" Like that's how games would have died, as a condescending smile from not even your mom. From your mom's sister or your dad's sister.
As opposed to like the most profitable medium that exists.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the video games died once, Jerry, right?
Yeah, they could die again.
Let's not forget. They perished like heck.
That's my next question. Was PaRappa the Rapper good, or do we just remember it because it's got a rapping dog?
It's got good songs, and it looks good.
Music is straight legit.
Yeah.
The button presses are not fantastic. It's too difficult. The PSP version is a little better.
The PS4 version is a little better still.
Yeah. What is our criteria for good? Because for me, like, 3 out of 4 things about it are good, and 1 thing is not as good. I think it's okay.
I can forgive a lot of little issues, inconsistencies, weirdnesses, wrongnesses, cases of game designers just not possessing the foreknowledge, game design being, in a way, an invention that is continually polished. I can forgive a lot of that in video games, but one thing I cannot forgive about PaRappa the Rapper is the fact that the controls are just broken.
Yeah.
The button presses do not happen always consistently at the right time. The game is constantly programmatically messing, like just filling its diaper with regard to controller inputs, and that's not cool. However, is the game good? You're god darn right it's good. It's a god darn masterpiece.
Talk to him.
I take extreme issue with the fact that there is a lyric that is, just because the rhythm is slow, that don't mean you can't flow. Where else are you gonna flow?
That funky flow.
Yeah, like, why would the slowness of the rhythm preclude a flow, first of all? Like, that never stopped nobody. I know. All of my favorite flowers, right? They don't get thwarted by a goddarn slow rhythm. You know, even with gaping problems like that, game's a goddarn masterpiece.
Love that game. As someone who was 8 years old when it came out, it was like the most colorful, coolest shit I'd ever seen in interactive form as someone who grew up on hip hop. So yeah, I agree. I think even if 3 of the 4 things are pretty great and one of them is lacking, I still think there's enough there to like stick on you and stay with you. It did. My first trip to Tokyo, I bought a copy of it because I just needed it. I just needed it as like a little keepsake. So yeah, PaRappa the Rapper is great. They should just figure it out, bring it back. Come on.
Well, they've tried. It didn't succeed. And they did do like that Kickstarter, but that Kickstarter was destined for failure.
I think if you're going to bring PaRappa back, you need to bring back the full package, which is
Jammer Lammy.
It's not just the genre or the style of game. The package of PaRappa the Rapper, more than a rhythm game. PaRappa the Rapper was more than a rhythm game. It was a rhythm game with a cinematic story and an extremely short length.
Yeah, had a little adventure.
You can appreciate like you're putting on an album and listening to it.
Totally. It's Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's very few games like that now. If you want to bring back the full package of PaRappa the Rapper now, the idea is you would have to have it would have to be a novel concept, and you would have to lean on what were the strengths of the game. Good music, rhythm stuff, incredible art, cannot be understated. That is fine art in that game.
Truly.
That is not just, video game art. It's like legit fine art, like legit MoMA grade stuff.
The 2D, 3D aspect of it was a big deal to me because the characters are all 2D but moving in 3D space, like they're paper characters who will like
weird color forms look.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Paper Mario done ripped that off.
Yeah.
Nintendo, you jerkweeds. Another extremely important thing is that it was taken hyper seriously as a business venture by its publisher. Like Sony put big money behind making it, developing it, like researching, developing, promoting it. Full corporate publisher backing on that game. It wasn't just some weird little, the game budgets these days are a little hard to scale for, inflation versus the games of old. But it was up there with, it was a AAA video game.
Yeah.
They made a 44-minute long AAA video game, man. So in other words, if you make a new PaRappa, it can't just be, we brought PaRappa back. It's got to be today's AAA. What does that mean as regards PaRappa the Rapper? I don't know. Have I thought about this too much? Very recently, yes.
I'm just going to say that if 3 out of 4 things are good about it, and we're rounding down these days, then that's a classic 7 out of 10. Insert credit game if I ever heard one.
Oh, yeah, round it down. It's one of those rare 7 out of 10. That's a 10 out of 10. That's actually an 11. It's a rare 7-11. It's a 7 out of 10, but that makes it an 11.
Got a lot of heart.
So yeah, we're establishing a new review scale where there's 7-11 is a special score.
I like that.
It's a 7 in some ways and an 11 in others.
That makes sense.
The rare mystique of an inimitable masterpiece. Welcome back to my show.
Here's our next question. What are your video game spending habits like?
Oh, man.
Oh, God. Well,
I don't want to say.
As everybody in my email inbox informs me, I done got rich. I'm rich. So I Steam sale, yes, please. I was actually a little disappointed by the Steam summer sale this year because I done bought everything.
Now I done bought everything.
I mean, I wait for sales, but I mean, I play a ghastly amount of video games for usually a ridiculous amount of time each, and I can't help it because it's a job like any other, but it also involves my hobby, which is convenient. But yeah, my video game spending habits are straight up goblinized. And I've mentioned this on this show several times before, but I have pretty much lost touch completely with the video game buying public as regards to the people who complain about the price of a game, because I've been getting free games for 20 years now, right?
Same.
20 goddamn years of free video games. And it's like a video game used to be my cherished treasure. I used to just be like,
pre-ordered it.
I almost have $50. What video game am I going to buy? $2 more and I can buy a video game in a month. I'm so excited. I'm going to scrounge together my quarters. I bought video games with quarters before.
Oh, same.
$5 down at the GameStop. You know what I mean? Been there.
Yeah, dude. I remember putting $60 down or $50 down for Panzer Dragoon Saga at Electronics Boutique.
Ooh.
They got one copy and then they sold it to somebody else. I've told Brandon this story several times.
It's a sad tale.
That's my nightmare.
That's why I learned Japanese and moved to Japan.
That's the one time someone at GameStop said "last copy, bro," and actually meant it.
They were loose about it back then. It was, I imagine it went like this. So the guys who worked at Electronics Boutique were not exactly 100% gamers so much as they were dudes with jobs at that point, right? There were not people clamoring, door busting like at a Walmart Black Friday to get jobs hawking video games in those days. It was a job like no other. So I was a weird teenage kid walking in a Target store uniform, direct from work one Friday afternoon, saying I would like to pre-purchase a video game, Panzer Dragoon Saga for the Sega Saturn. Can you order it for me? Because we couldn't get it at my Target store. And the guy writes it down, and that was it. That was all I ever heard of it. And then I went back, and I assumed the guy's like, oh, this weird game came in. Oh, I think there's a pre-order for it. Well, I've never heard of this game. So there's this guy here now asking for it. Let's just give it to him. Or maybe it was there's a pre-order for this game and a guy comes in and goes, you got Panzer Dragoon Saga? You're right here, dude. Maybe they gave it to him for free, you know? Maybe they just assumed he was the guy who pre-ordered it. I'm not exactly sour about it now. Because I can fluently read all the kanji and I own the Japanese version, which I bought for like $4.
Nice.
Yeah. You can get the Japanese version. It grows on trees over there, around the same time as the cherry blossoms. You go to the park and there's just Panzer Dragoon Saga growing on trees. I got revenge.
What was the question?
What are your video game buying habits? I can answer this.
Oh, yeah.
For me, it's if you make a new Genesis game, I'll try it out. I'll buy it.
Oh, yeah, that seems right.
Even if I get into an argument with you about it beforehand, which I did for the Genesis game that's on Kickstarter right now. Dude was trying to say that you can't make longer attack animations on the Genesis that go further out from your body because the hardware can't do it in a 2-player game. And it's just not correct. And it was very upsetting to me, but I'm going to get it anyway because, I want to support more Genesis games coming out.
This guy's actually out there making a Genesis game, though, right? I mean, so how do you know? How do you know?
That's what he said.
He's not right.
That's what he said. Yeah, I do that, and then if something comes out on the PS5 that I like, I will buy it when it's on sale. It's a sad reality, but I save my premium bucks for when somebody's making a new Genesis or TurboGrafx game, and I want to support a small cottage industry. And then when it comes to the big guns, I do sadly wait for sales. I hate to say it, but I'm trying these days as much as possible to, when a game comes out in a genre that I appreciate, like when a new Yakuza game comes out, I try to buy it at $60.
Oh yeah, put that money down.
Because it's like, I want them to know I will spend $60 on this, and so will other people. And I'm extending that to other things. Or if there's a game that I like, such as insert credit 2021 Game of the Year, Forged in Shadow Torch. I got that one for free, but I'm gonna buy a physical copy of it just to give the money so that it's like make another one of these or make something else like it,
So I mean, to clarify on what I said earlier, I buy every AAA game that comes out that's big. I'll buy it right away. However, the publishers usually send me a code. Usually like before I can even think of, do I want this game? I get a code for it. But I will straight up buy anything that comes out that I can capture some footage of and play for a couple of minutes or I usually I give games 2 hours. But also I have recently purchased a lot of retro games just to have nice box art on my shelf, and games that I enjoy having physical copies of that are all located on my Mister. And none of them, I haven't bought anything that has actually been expensive. They're all I bought a bunch of games that are cheap, that are of a connoisseur's sort of variety of taste.
Oh, another little point here is, I'll buy somebody's indie game on itch or whatever. I'll give them a little $5 tip or something like that, because you can do that on there. So if there's somebody and, I know that they've had at the most hundreds of downloads of their video game, I'll just tip them a little extra money because I think that's giving some appreciation.
I don't have any like hard budget, but I definitely, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking like, all right, moderation. Because like Tim said, I occasionally will, whenever I'm trying to cover a game that I'm interested in for any kind of coverage, whether it's like talking about it on podcasts or maybe even writing about it, I can usually probably get a code. And if I can't, then I'm fortunate enough where I can like expense it for work. But I still go out of my way to like buy stuff, and especially like on itch.io, if I'm looking for stuff for like my play date or something, I'm definitely gonna like tip and buy it full price. I do the same thing with like music too. I'll browse Bandcamp, and if I hear a thing I really like, I know how much even like $10 can mean to somebody who's like doing this at night every night between jobs or whatever, trying to get the hustle going. So I definitely try my best to like always pay it forward. And if I'm on PlayStation or Xbox and I see like a tile that's like, oh, game's on sale, I'll probably tap over and be like, I have been meaning to play those Mafia remasters, so maybe I'll buy them both.
Oh man, I just got those on the Steam sale. Yeah, it was like $20 for all of them. I'm like,
nice.
Dude,
3 is so good.
Yeah, 3 is good. I'm excited to. I already bought 3 for a non-PC, so I'm excited to play it on my PC.
Nice.
I'm gonna play all of them very soon, actually.
Well,
yeah.
If you're gonna tip on those games, as we established, the right thing to do is tip 100% every time.
That's what I do. I'm a 100% tipper.
I would like to address a question I've been thinking about, but have been too afraid to ask since I was 5 years old.
Uh-oh.
Where do babies come from?
Why do you think within the game's fiction that bad guys like Bowser and Eggman and Dr. Wily design their castles and bases to be platforming challenges?
Oh, yeah.
Good question. Yeah, Dracula can turn into a bat, so you look
yeah, for Dracula it makes sense. That's just like a manifestation of chaos.
Yeah, so it makes sense there, but these other guys, how do they get around those places? It's a good question.
Yeah, I think it's like the Riddler. Like the Riddler doesn't really want kind of wants to defeat Batman, but mostly wants to engage with Batman in a battle of wits and win in that way. And so these people are like, this time he's not going to be able to get through my fiendishly clever series of platforms. They have some sort of a masochistic desire to defeat Mario on his terms and Sonic on his terms.
This man's strength is jumping.
Yes, jumping is his strength. I will defeat him.
By making him jump until he cannot jump anymore.
He can jump no longer.
I think it's the most efficient way to like turn on Do Not Disturb mode, where it's like, I do that myself, where I'll just like put my phone face down, it automatically goes to Do Not Disturb. So like, if you really want to get through to me, like you got to really jump through some hoops. Otherwise, please leave me alone. I'm going to just smooth my brain out and watch some Love Island. Can I just live for a little bit, Oh,
yeah, so you want to make sure nobody can get anywhere near your living room. That makes perfect sense. It's not unfriendly of you.
No, it's like if you want, you're welcome, but you want
to make sure a real emergency is a real emergency. Because God darn it, man, if Dr. Wily and Bowser wanted to kill, if Bowser wanted to kill Mario, he could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's not that hard.
He's a dragon.
Yeah, he's not being unfriendly. He's just being like, all right, if this guy really wants to hang out, he's going to have to get over here.
Yeah.
I'll just set a couple of these up for him.
He wouldn't stand on retractable bridges over lava.
Yeah, he would just wall himself in with bricks. I guess Mario could break the bricks. A lot of immersion breaking going on in these old video games, where you're just constantly wondering, why'd he build it like this?
Yeah, I'm trying to ask you to rebuild the immersion for him.
If he's trying to force Princess Peach to marry him, why is he waiting until Mario shows up?
Yeah, it's true.
That's
just
true.
Like, go and do it.
Also, Super Mario Odyssey is the only Mario where Bowser explicitly wants to marry Princess Peach.
Super Paper Mario, Tim.
Super Paper Mario as well, yeah. Oh, yeah, that one has all the famous memes. Yeah, it's like, is that what he's doing in Mario 1? I'm shocked that I don't know this.
I think in Mario 1, she's by the lore of the game, she's a political
prisoner.
Oh, whoa.
Shoot. Yeah, my God. That's
like
dark.
in Sonic Forces, when Sonic's being waterboarded.
That classic chestnut.
Welcome to Gitmo Zone, Sonic. Lord, my God. Oh, no. Oh, Guantanamo Night Zone. That's the name of it. Oh, that's terrible.
We have drunk deeply and heavily from this well before. We don't need to go back.
No, we don't need to get back into it. But yeah, I mean, in many cases, trying to build the immersion ruins it. And so, given that, I think the funniest answer is the best. And so, I don't know which one that is, but I think the idea of a fraught relationship between them is good.
We're not seeing the spaces in 3D as well. We're seeing them in 2D. So maybe it's really majestic architecture as you're walking into it in 3D, and it kind of evokes a feeling of a cathedral or a church. And Dr. Wily's got his own little. Bowser has one. I assume Dr. Wily does as well. He's got some sort of clown car thing that he flies around in the air, right?
Sure, he's got a UFO.
So he's just coming in real nice and slow, just kind of surfing in. And just enjoying the look of all the platforms and gauntlets and military saluting his guards as he comes in. So maybe he does it like that because it's cool to look down at a bunch of lava pits.
And we're just seeing a 2-dimensional cross-section.
As your evil vehicle just slowly hovers.
Just Willy Wonka vibes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The absolute wonkification.
I like the idea of these villains being arrogant enough to try to challenge the enemies that constantly defeat them on their own terms. It's a little bit...
it's honorable.
It's a little bit of the American Democratic Party.
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah. With as much success.
Well, with that, it's time to go into our lightning round. We're playing one of my favorite
games. Is Mario a Republican?
Probably.
Is he one of those guys in Brooklyn with the big old Republican campaign banner in his backyard?
The longest forum thread in history is Mario Republican.
Yeah, what part of Brooklyn is he from? That's what I wanted.
Man, I was at a party at a buddy's house in Sunset Park, and his neighbor had a huge
Mario flag,
Republican hate banner just in his yard, and was blasting Bruce Springsteen, which is very funny because did they cancel Bruce Springsteen, the Republicans, because he said something too nice?
I don't think they understand. It's remarkable the number of times you'll get a Republican person being
never listening to Rage Against the Machine again.
Exactly.
Rage Against the Machine. How could this Bruce Springsteen song be left wing? How could it's just like
yeah, I love it, dude.
I never listened to these lyrics before.
He was blasting Born in the USA though, like no joke. And anyway, that guy was a pretty Brooklyn dude. I got a glimpse of him. You
mean Brooklyn in the Italian sense?
No. I mean, I'm just saying, and there's just the Brooklyn, like he looked like he was a guy who would say only in New York, you know,
like me every day when I wake up, the first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I actually say that as well.
He looked like he was walking here.
Yeah, he looked like an I'm walking here individual. That's technically that's a Manhattan mannerism. Actually, we say that up here. Okay. I don't know if you all say that in Brooklyn, listeners. We say I'm walking here all the time.
Yeah, here in Manhattan, I am walking here.
My dog said it to that electric bike that almost blasted him to smithereens the other day.
Time for our lightning round. We're playing GameFAQ&As this week, one of my favorite new games. This is where I go over to a message board dedicated to a specific video game on GameFAQs.com. Every one of these games has a Q&A section where any user can submit a short question and depends on the members of the GameFAQs community to answer them. I have picked a game and 10 questions from that board for us to address. The goal here is to keep it pithy and not necessarily accurate. The game this week is Grand Theft Auto Online. Question number 1. How do I become a hitman?
Oh, man.
Buy a gun first. Start there.
Yeah.
Right?
Good place to start.
Buy a gun and lower your morals. Lower your moral standards.
Acquaint yourself with one individual, maybe even a friend who is looking to have somebody killed, and just gently float out the idea of you doing it so you get some practice. And then if it goes well, start looking into making a career out of it.
Exposure goes a long way.
And maybe make business cards.
Oh, yeah, very helpful. Question 2. How do I make one of my personal vehicles into a race car?
Oh, you just paint some anime girls on it.
Anime girls, you need a
monster logo.
You need a racing stripe spoiler on the back. Maybe a scoop in the
big
hood.
one.
some slicks.
All those things.
You get some real soft slickies.
Get some lighting for the undercarriage of your car.
Yeah, ask
That's
the
good.
Shanghai,
That'll do it.
Ask the Shanghai municipal lighting department.
How do you get out of the bad sport lobby when your time say completed?
All right. The
Yeah.
bad sport lobby. Oh, that's like if you did something, then people
Naughty.
like they tag you as being a bad player.
Oh, I thought they were talking about golf, because that's a bad sport.
I think no. I think what happens is you have to call your mom, and she has to come get you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Right.
that's good.
Yeah.
that's it.
Is that it?
That's exactly it.
Your grand theft mom.
What is the most profitable biker business?
It's a Courier Crisis on the Sega Saturn. We're going to have a
Oh,
sequel
yeah.
to that pretty soon in the streets of
It's gonna
Shanghai.
be set in New York.
Oh, yeah, that's the New York one. I forget.
There's New York or Shanghai. It's like Pokemon Red and Blue.
And
Yeah.
nothing to do with Premium Rush. I don't want to hear it.
Fair. Question number 5. How do I fix y'all?
Y'all?
Well, I mean, I guess therapy.
Well, first of all, it's spelled
Yeah.
Y''ALL. It's not YALL.
Mhm.
Oh, there's an apostrophe here.
Yeah, well, no, I'm just saying that's how you fix y'all.
That's how you
if
fix
you
it.
see,
Yeah.
if you have a friend or a coworker or a loved one who is typing in the group chat on Twitter, in texts, on Discord, and Slack, y'all with the apostrophe after the A, you gotta stop them.
Oh, that's bad.
It's not ya will, it's you all. Okay?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's how you fix y'all.
Hit the family Slack with a at everyone.
Absolutely fair. How do I get passengers to board my plane?
Land it first. And then what you do is you tell everybody that there's a group 1 and a group 2 and a group 3 and a group
Yeah.
4 and a group 5.
Mhm.
You tell everybody that, and then you tell them all that they are group 8.
That's brilliant.
Yes.
That's how you get them.
There we go. A new airline joke.
You tell them you want a lower group number. Give me $14 now, or $20 20 minutes from now, right?
And you get a bag of peanuts.
Or give me $100 next week, and I could get you in that death cylinder a minute earlier.
Oh my God.
Oh, I love airplane jokes.
It's a good one. Why is my character's mask appearing on their torso? How do I get it back on my head?
You make them say, "Somebody stop me!" Right?
I hate to say this, but you're gonna have to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way.
Fiber supplements for sure.
Can you invite anyone to your penthouse?
I can, yeah.
I mean, that's why would you own a penthouse if you didn't want to invite people there? Actually, no, hold on, scratch that. I can think of a million reasons to own a penthouse and not want to invite people there.
To be fair, I don't
Because-
know if this question is, can you invite anyone to your penthouse, or can you
Can you
invite
invite
anyone
anyone?
to your penthouse?
Oh,
Oh yeah, that's the mystery of the English language, and its articles and particles once again strikes. However, my answer is no different. Yeah.
Yeah, sure you can.
Sure.
Mhm.
And our final question, where's the mystery car?
It's either behind door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Thank you.
Whoa. Got a couple there.
Double thank you.
Yeah, I pressed it twice. Sorry.
Thank you.
I've been playing video games this whole time, and my wrists are messed up. My wrists are messed up and my hands are shaking. You ever get that? Your wrists are so messed up, your hands are shaking.
Mhm.
Somebody please say yes.
Yes.
That make me feel less.
actually, after a lot of sim racing, yes, my wrists will hurt.
They get kind of hurty, and yeah, I got jittery wrists, so I pressed the button twice. I've been playing this video game over here, and it's I'm playing an RPG that requires me to talk to every single person in this town in like the right order,
Oh,
and it's really annoying.
I'm tallying up the points here, and Tim, you've gotten another win. You're up to 3
Whoa.
out of your needed 10 to
Oh, I'll bank it.
host an episode.
Let's just already say I'm banking it.
This is the point of the show where I ask you for your recommendations. If you have any ideas or suggestions for our audience to engage with any sort of activity or material between this episode and the next?
I finally got around to watching RRR on Netflix.
Oh, triple RR3.
Yeah, I still have like 40 minutes to go because in order for me to watch a 3-hour movie nowadays, I have to watch it in like 3 or 4 sittings. But wow, I've never wanted a Yakuza movie more in my life.
There is a Yakuza movie, and it's not very good.
Oh, well, like in that style.
And it was directed by Takashi Miike.
I haven't seen R3. Paul Tamayo, have you watched Bahubali?
No, I'm not really too familiar with Bollywood, but now I am absolutely going to dive in head first the way I
You gotta
usually
watch
do.
Lagan.
It's Hollywood.
Yeah, please send me all the recommendations. Type them in the chat, please.
Bahubali is that director's the movie he did before RRR. So
sick.
Yeah, it is a massive 2-part fantasy epic. It's phenomenally good.
Can't wait.
So he did fantasy, and now he did
Yes.
more modern warfare, not ancient warfare. There's good stuff all around if you want to be inspired stylistically by a thing. I'm always recommending Bahubali.
I guess I've already voiced my issues with it, so I won't do it again.
You have, yes.
It's good to voice the issues. But also, as I said, if you would like to be inspired stylistically with the sheer virtuosity of a thing, you cannot, Bahubali will not steer you wrong.
I definitely enjoyed watching it. I just, I can't be uncaveated.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that R3. I gotta find a way to watch it now that I don't have Netflix anymore.
I actually bought it on iTunes because they don't have the Telugu version on Netflix.
Yeah, that's what I want.
And so for some reason they only have the Hindi and Tamil versions.
Yeah.
It is kind of bizarre. Like the dub, it kind of takes me out sometimes, but you kind of just get used to it, I guess.
I also just think Telugu's a cooler language.
It's a fun language to listen to.
Yeah, I like it. And also, I grew up watching tons of Chinese movies.
Yeah, same.
When an actor is speaking one dialect and dubbed in another, it's always weird.
That Shaw Brothers.
Even in Chinese, where it's like, fundamentally minimal differences between dialects, it still is jarring as heck to see like a clearly different actor's voice coming out of a person.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like a different type of Chinese words coming out. It's always jarring.
Yeah, I do not want to particularly hear Mandarin in a Hong Kong film. It's just not it gets me weird.
Yeah, we watched some Hong Kong films over here, and my girlfriend who grew up speaking Mandarin always wants to watch like the Mandarin dubs of them. So it's like I can understand that perspective.
Sure.
But it's also like, I don't know, I like Cantonese so much.
It's a very expressive language.
I don't know. I really like Cantonese. I'm a big fan of Cantonese.
Myself as well.
Yeah, so it's there you go. There's a recommendation. If you're out there and you're looking to learn a language, I've been saying this to people now for going on 20 years. Learn Chinese. It's going to be important someday. I should update that exact wording of that recommendation because I believe it's quite important now.
Yeah.
Everybody's out there studying stuff. If you want to pick a language, pick Chinese. And also, go ahead and learn Mandarin and Cantonese at the same time. Just go for it.
You told me that one time.
Yeah, I did. Try to learn them both at the same time. They are they have quite a vastly different mouthfeel, but you can do it, and it's easier than you'd think. Language learning is one of my favorite things in the world. I can't recommend that enough. I've recommended it a million times. So,
Brandon, do you have any uncaveated recommendations?
Oh, I've always got a couple caveats, but sometime last week, somebody slammed into a Mustang down the street and then wrecked their car and decided that it was going to be a good idea to just like tear down the road with a busted wheel, just creating a big line in the pavement. And
dude,
and they scared the heck out of their dog that was in the car, who then leapt out of the car, and then the guy backed up the street with in a shower of sparks without his dog. And found the dog a place to be and hung out with the dog and stuff. I did. And so my advice is do not leave your dog in East Oakland, because I will take care of it at the end.
And that's a promise.
Interesting recommendation. I saw a guy riding with a blown out tire driving down 110th Street the other day. he had one flat tire in the front. The rear tire was completely gone.
Yeah.
He was driving around 70 miles an hour, and I saw him go through 2 red lights.
Wow, that's like 3 stars.
I think he should. My girlfriend was like, "What do you think's wrong with that guy?" And I go, "I think he might have just committed a crime." And she's like, "Well, how do you know?" And I was like, "I don't know."
I recommend the musical artist Girl, GRRL.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, electronic music artist.
wonderful music artist.
Yeah, for fans of like Drexia or Gatekeeper and the like. Will equally please fans of both. Pretty good stuff. It's hard to recommend exactly where to start because there's a lot of music there, but the new album, Odyssey, is good, so give that a look. You can get it on Bandcamp. It's not an obscure thing this time. You can just go ahead and get it. And then I'll also recommend, and this is an amusing one, if you watched and enjoyed my earlier recommendation, Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar,
A good film.
and liked the character dynamic between Barb and Star themselves, you might enjoy the current season of The Bachelorette. Because they have 2 bachelorettes, and they're constantly being like, "I really like how you handled that. No, you." And they're so earnest with each other, but also quick to emotion, and just having a really confusing time navigating a difficult space. And as soon as it was mentioned to me by the other person that lives in this house that they are reminiscent of Barb and Star, my enjoyment of the series just really skyrocketed because it totally held true. So give that a look if you like goofy reality weirdo television.
When a thing reminds me of another thing.
I like when a thing reminds me of another thing that I like.
Yeah.
That's the old human puzzle. It was why do we like stuff that reminds us of stuff? Find out soon. And we'll continue our investigation. We're consulting some big brains in the field of psychology about this, and we're going to
Part 247 to come.
and we're going to come back to that question.
I would like to recommend that if you're listening to this show in some format where you can subscribe to or review podcasts, that you do that for us. It would be really nice. Appreciate it. You could also go to patreon.com/insertcredit, as I mentioned earlier, where you could become a patron to submit your own topics, listen to monthly bonus episodes, and get other exclusive content. You can also join our active community at forums.insertcredit.com, or follow us on Twitter at insertcredit, or search for Insert Credit on YouTube, or why not do all 3? Go crazy. This show is edited by Esper Quinn, with original music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alexander the Great.
Oh, are you?
Well, you're not Alexander.
I'm Alexander the Great.
I'm Tim Rogers.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
I'm Paul Tamayo.
And you may now save your game.
Thanks.
Did Paul give recommendations?
Yeah. He
Oh, yeah.
did RRR.
Quick bonus one: Love Island USA. Just watch it.
Wait, is Love Island is that a Brit thing?
It is
Is it like an oi oi mate Brit thing or a gov Brit thing?
definitely more on the oi oi mate side of
Oi oi
things.
mate.